Welcome, everyone. We have a very special guest with us today in this, which is our episode number 5 of the Lume Plotters. So I am Martin. I'm here with Ralph as usual, but we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. So my name is Mahmoud. I'm an Egyptian watch collector, and I live here in the UAE for the last 15 years.
Very nice. So
Welcome. I also say hello to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for just going over me. Like, Ralph is also here. Yeah. Yes, hello, everybody. Hello, Mahmoud. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Can I just preface this by saying I've been listening to your podcast while going through the borders between Italy and Switzerland, and that really soothed me. I've just looked at the mountains, hearing stories about watches and wonders and what you think of the new watches, Rolex and Tudor. That was amazing.
Oh, nice. It's the first time we meet a listener.
Exactly. Not just that. We have him here for a very special reason. Mahmoud literally 1 day ago, just got back from Watches and Wonders. So this is fresh off the boat. We will actually have stories from someone who was on the ground in Geneva.
But before we get into that, what are you wearing? As the guest, you have the first.
Okay, so should I start today?
Yes, please.
I'm wearing my Patek Philippe Calatrava 6119R. I've got this about 3 months ago.
Oh,
Yeah, such a special piece for me.
Have you taken it off since?
No, I've actually been wearing it every day. And as you know, like an old man, I've been winding it every day in the morning just before coming to work. It's such a ritual that I really gotten fond of. Such an amazing watch. And it's amazing having it on the wrist.
It's absolutely beautiful, and it has no date function. And for the listeners that have listened for the last couple episodes, I hate date functions.
Same here. I never set them up, actually. I'm so tired.
This is if I were to get a Calatrava, this is the exact one that I would go for as well. Yeah. It's absolutely stunning.
So slim as well.
It is. It is beautiful.
Since we are a very inclusive podcast, I love dates. Not just the dates to eat, also the dates on the date windows on watches. I actually look probably at the date more than at the time on my watches. And sometimes if I have a date non-date watch on, like a Black Bay or Black Bay 58, I feel like oh, no date. Yeah. Sorry, you're saying?
Yeah. So actually, I have this kind of a strange thing where if I only have the date on the watch, I don't set it up. But if I have a day and a date, I have to set it up. It's just so strange.
So my one excuse, the one time having a date is okay, is if you have either a day date or if you have a GMT function.
Right.
I think those are acceptable. Or if anything more complicated than those calendars, annual calendars, perpetuals, by all means, have a date.
Yes.
But and I also love pointer dates. Pointer dates are stunning.
That's an old style of doing it, but it's nice as well. Yeah. The Patek that I recently saw in a pre-owned shop in the Timepiece 360, I saw that, which is a 6006G, I think. It has a pointer date, and it's not a very much loved Patek because it's very busy, which is very unlike
Yes,
Patek.
the one, the timepiece, the black and white one. Yes.
But I like
Timepiece 360 plug.
Product placement.
Well, no. Not paying us yet. No, so let's see.
Holla it if you're listening. We're open to offers.
But I like quirky watches. Huh? I like the bit of the off
too.
the beaten path. So what are you wearing then?
I am wearing my JLC Reverso, medium size with the small seconds complication.
All right.
So I have this on a very interesting strap. It originally came with a Fagliano leather, but this is they call it what was the name of this? It's a Hodinkee strap, and it's made of what they call saturated leather. So basically they soak the leather in oil, and therefore by doing this makes it waterproof. And this is a process. This is basically a saddle leather. So by doing this is what they used to do with saddles and all kinds of equine equipment, I guess.
Equestrian.
Equine.
Don't know what that is. But maybe that is something.
Somebody
something
can comment
different.
and tell us what the no equine is
also
equestrian, but the equine might be a different. I think that's the breed of horses. Only on on Lume Plotters will you hear about the differences.
Complete expert talking about horses. Yeah.
Exactly, if you can't tell. But the beauty of this is because the Reverso was, of course, a polo watch. Polo, played on horses. Having equestrian leather is quite cool.
Can I just say that I love this watch?
Mahmoud was the one that actually suggested this watch to me. I said no at first. I bought the wrong watch, sold it, and then bought the correct one.
It's just stunning. I just love it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Since we just talked about this, I think last week in the episode, you seem to do that a lot, no?
Which one? Sell watches.
Buy the wrong watch?
Yes. I'm notorious
at
for
the
buying the
moment
wrong
it was
watches,
the right one, but-
selling them, and then once in a while I just find something and it clicks and then I keep it forever.
Back at the time when they did the when it was made for polo
Let's do
players,
that real fast. Hold on. One second. I don't want to.
ASMR.
ASMR, guys, a little reverso clicking. I don't know if you can catch this. That is the reverso turning.
Yeah. Back at the days, they didn't have sapphire crystal, right? So the glass in your watch was actually it was glass. So it was very brittle. So I think it made a lot of sense at the time. And it's
One
still
of the
a beautiful
first
design.
sport watches. Exactly.
It's still on my list of watches to have in my collection one day.
And the thing was, I have to say, and this goes for all the listeners out there, somebody might say, it's not your style. My wife told me, no, you're not going to wear a reverso. It's not your style. It doesn't look good on you. It's an old man watch, et cetera, et cetera. You ignore everyone and you do what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone else can be reminded to please leave.
Which is collection advice, really.
Yeah, buy what you like, not what everyone else wants you to like.
Yeah. Okay, I'm wearing my H. Moser Heritage Dual Time.
What color is the dial?
Good question. Purple-ish, red-ish, maybe. I don't know. It's a
very
Fume
nice and
dial.
beautiful.
It has the applied markers that are made of a ceramic that is filled with superluminova, so they glow quite nicely at night, and has the hidden second hour hand. So in the beginning, I didn't know exactly, because it has a date, but it doesn't have a date setting, quick set for the date, because you're setting the date with the second time zone, the one that's hidden.
Yes, correct.
Which then is a bit funny to me. Usually I'm used to like the Rolex and Tudor way of doing this. I mean, the true GMT, right? So that you go somewhere and then you set the local time.
So this is what's called a caller GMT function?
Yes and no, because first of all, it's not really a GMT because it's a 12 hour. The second hand is also only 12 hours. It's not 24
It's not 24.
hours, right?
Okay.
So it's not really a GMT. It's a dual time. That's why it's called dual time. And in the beginning, I thought, oh, you did this wrong because I want the date to change whenever, in the time that I am in, not in my hometown. But then when you think about it, when you want to set the date and you have to move, the time around 24 hours to change one day, that's annoying. If you do this with a quick set hand, which is the jumping one, the hidden one.
Yeah, it takes much.
That's super fast.
Exactly.
So obviously it makes a lot of sense to do it this way. But in the beginning I thought but it's wrong. Yeah, anyhow. That might be a conversation we should have with Moser.
Can I just say something about the dial? Because I think Moser does the best dials ever, Sunburst or Fume. And I know that AP has also released some with the code 1159, some Fume dials. And I've compared
It looks very similar, doesn't it?
It does look very similar. But honestly, I think Moser's really got it spot on.
Yeah, and you were mentioning you had some interest in the 1159, right?
I did not, but I've been eyeing it. I was actually in Milan just a week ago. I was at the boutique and it could have been sold to me, but, I just said, let me go to Watches and Wonders first and just let's see if I'm going to place my name on any other watch first. And I ended up doing that.
Yeah. Which one did you place? Should we?
The IWC Engineer. That's something that hopefully, I hope, I've been told I might be one of the first ones to get it here. Hopefully
Very nice.
Next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Aqua dial. So
which is the correct dial, I think.
I hope so.
That's the stunning one out of the three. That's the one.
Honestly, they're all beautiful. I think Aqua dial, everyone is saying, why didn't they do it in blue? But if you keep looking at the Aqua dial, it looks a lot like those PVC cutting mats. The ones where you just do with the X-Acto knives. It's just exactly the same kind of color. And I just love it. It's so beautiful.
I think the code 1159 that you mentioned First, this is just a very, very pretty watch.
The blue dial,
Yeah,
Fume, white gold. I think we saw this at Timepiece 360 as well. It was in an auction once, and I looked at it on a cloth strap, which I thought the coolest part of it was the fact that it was the juxtaposition of the white gold with a cloth strap. It's super cool.
I'm just showing
So
a picture
beautiful.
around of this one. That's during the iftar we had with the watch group 2 days ago. Yeah. Who might be listening? Who might be listening? Wow, that's a good plug. He had this watch, and it's very, very nice.
And I think the case is really underrated as well, because there is so many things going on. The lugs are beautiful. The case shape is beautiful. And how the glass curves and does all these kind of refractions is just so on point.
I am a huge Code 1159 fan.
The only thing I don't like is the numerals.
Yes.
That's the only thing. If
I
they had
agree.
no numerals, if it was like the perpetual calendar has a star, the starry dial.
Yeah.
If the regular ones, the 300s, did the same thing, I think it'd be a
I
winner.
don't know. I actually even like the numerals. I think the only problem they had in the beginning was the most boring and non-Fume dials that they launched with. I think
The basic ones.
this is where
The white ones, specific, their whitish silver opaline dial. So plain.
It was so boring that everybody said, like, wait, for decades you haven't launched a new line, and then you launch this boring watch.
But that case is absolutely
It
fantastic.
is, absolutely. And now even then people said, well, you have to see it in person before you really make a judgment, because it looks so much nicer in person than it does on pictures. But the first set of dials they released, it didn't photograph well. And everybody saw it and thought, oh, that's...
Daniel Wellington.
But anyhow, I think now they've cracked it, and it's perfect now. It's
They
fantastic.
even just released the stainless steel versions. I haven't seen them in person yet, because, by the way, I just realized that AP don't exhibit at Watches and Wonders.
No,
That was a surprise to me. I heard that this is the case since 2018. But anyway, the stainless steel ones are not available even to look at the boutique. But I like the pattern that they have on the dial now, even though I do prefer the Fume, but also they remove the numerals. The dial feels more compact, which is something I really appreciate.
Yeah, and they have. It's a stamped dial though, right? Which has also got a bit of a nod from some people who said, well, it's stamped, it's not guilloché, right? So but apparently it's really, really nice. So I haven't seen it either yet. But now I think. So you have been to Watches and Wonders. Have you attended all days, or?
I've attended 2 days, the most important 2 days, which is the first and second day, where they actually release all the watches.
Nice.
I was invited by Vacheron Constantin, so hats off to them. Honestly, I was so pleased. I didn't even expect them to invite me. They've even invited me to the manufacturer as well, so I went there and visited. I wasn't allowed to take pictures everywhere, but I'm just going to say it out there that there is this room, it's called the Métier d'Art room, where they do all the guillochés and, they work on the cases and the enamel, and it's so beautiful. Some of the artisans that are there, they work on cases for 5-6 months, and they're from all over the world, and they show, I've seen, unique pieces and such lovely enamel dials that they are creating for their clients, and it's just stunning. It's like entering a museum. It's so beautiful. I had to ask one of the artisans, do you feel heartbroken each time you have to give away your watch? And he was like, yeah, I do. I actually don't want to let it go. It's my baby. So it's so beautiful.
I can imagine, when you work on something for half a year or
It's crazy.
That must feel like you have so much of yourself in that
Exactly.
piece, right?
Yeah.
So tell us quickly.
That's why people like it so much. Right?
How did you get this invite? How did you end up being a guest of Vacherons at Watches and Wonders?
So last year, I think it was May or June. Well, I've been always eyeing the American 1921 for ages. And I think also before, COVID, things got really heated. And then I've been thinking, okay, when can I get the American? They told me, don't worry, we can always get it for you within a couple of months if you decide on it. And at that time, I picked up an Alanganzuna, Saxonia Moonphase. Because I always, in the back of my mind, I thought that, okay, the American is something that I can always get later on. And then 2-3 months later, I was just passing by the boutique and I was thinking, okay, can I try it on? And they said, okay, now we're going to have to wait 2 years because now the list is just full. So obviously my dream was shattered. I was just on Instagram for a few months, always posting about the watch, whatever. And then a salesperson from Vacheron in Mall of the Emirates called Mohammed Ghazawi, actually a really, really helpful guy. He just told me he can make it happen in a shorter time, which he did. So I picked up the Vacheron 1921, which is, by the way, my favorite piece in my collection. I've now only got 8 watches, but this is my...
Pause.
Yeah.
We just did an episode immediately before this. You haven't heard this yet,
All right.
but it was about the perfect size of the watch collection.
Is it 8?
8 in the box, 1 on the wrist. 8 plus 1.
So you still have one to go.
You have 1 to go.
Well, I've got this box with 10 places, so now I need to fill that
And
box.
this is what we said. Everyone chooses their watch collection size based on their box.
Exactly.
Which makes no sense. You have a 2,000 dirham box and you're putting hundreds of thousands of dirhams of watches in it just because this 2,000 dirham box says you have 10 slots.
It just makes sense because
Just buy a Moonswatch to fill the empty spaces.
I mean, all collectors are OCD in a way, you know,
Yes,
in a sense,
of
they want
course.
to collect. So once you have got these empty slots, you just need to fill it in, and sometimes as soon as possible. So
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, go on. Sorry.
So yeah, what I mean, that's a beautiful watch. I mean, I love Vacheron. I have one myself, but it's it's the entry level. It's a 56. Yeah, the Vacheron 56. Lovely watch. I got it before the hype started, and I really like it because it's a bit of a sporty watch because you can get the bracelet for it as well.
Yeah.
Which has the same micro adjustment than the overseas, which is really nice that you can have a butterfly clasp, but the micro adjustment in the clasp. And I don't understand why nobody else does that. I don't know if there's a patent on it. I have no idea, but I find that amazing. Jaeger LeCoultre does this as well, and some of their clasps have a micro adjustment, but it's clip on.
Well, I'm not too sure, but I think there is now more and more of the Richemont brands are trying to kind of streamline some of the components of their watches. Like, for example, you see on the straps, they've got all these easy, quick exchange systems now finding their way to Panerai, IWC, JLC as well. So maybe
Cartier.
that will happen.
But they must say that Vacheron was one of the first, right, to have the quick exchange system
yes,
with the overseas.
this was a
right?
long
The
time ago.
third
2015, I think it came out.
I'm not
14,
so sure,
15? 15, it was already out for sure.
Anyway, they had the third generation of the overseas. They started the quick exchange system, which is
And they ship with the leather, the rubber,
three
the
straps.
bracelet. And that to me is, you know, call me stupid, but, you know, that's worth spending the money on because you get all this cool stuff with it. And I think comparing it to, you know, a Nautilus or anything like that, they give you nothing, right? And that just shows you that Vacheron thinks a little bit differently, and I enjoy that.
so. As you have the American, it's a driver's watch, right?
It is.
So, at which position on the steering wheel can you see the time straight on?
I would say 10 and 2. You know, some people say it's just actually made for the older kind of cars where you've got a big steering wheel and you need to, but I just wear the watch regularly. And, you know, I just enjoy looking at the watch. And actually I changed the strap recently and I just put on a custom strap that was, Vacheron had one of their strap artisans at the boutique.
Nice.
I've got an apple green kind of strap on it. So it kind of looks like a tree leaf. The whole watch, it just looks, to me, I really love it. Everywhere I go now, I was at Geneva. Everyone I met there was like, oh, I really like this combo. And some people, even some customers, Vacheron, they were just asking them, we want that strap right now for that watch. Yeah, so it's really cool.
And I know it sounds a bit weird, but it's not so expensive, right? If you can make your custom strap at Vacheron, I think for more or less the same price as the normal straps they sell.
Correct, yeah.
So that's also something where I think this is amazing. You can really customize the color and you pay the same price as any strap that they have in there.
Which is same at Cartier as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once again, Richemont, right?
Yeah, maybe they have the same
something like that.
Who knows? Yeah. But lovely watch. So
thanks.
All right, continue with the story. You got your
Yes.
American.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
watches and wonders.
Because you have to at some point get to Watches and Wonders with this, right?
So I'm going to skip forward. So anyway, I keep bothering and bugging the Vacheron guys almost every other weekend. I just have to pass by their boutique. I have like a ritual where I pass by IWC, which is my other brand that I truly love, IWC and Vacheron, and just go around. So they just said, Watches and Wonders is coming up. Would you like to come over? gonna do the the invitation for you. So I was just thinking, okay, but only if you combine it with a manufacturer visit. And they were saying, okay, there's lots of people are going to be there. It's too tight. Lots of people are flying from all over the world, and we have really strict slots. So we're going to let you know whether we can arrange that for you as well. And I literally didn't book my flight up until the last 10 days. I was just waiting for them to confirm. And then they just told me, oh, one guy just canceled. So we already got you the invitation, and, your manufacturer visit is perfect. Everything is okay. You can go now, which is something I really, really appreciate.
Nice. Yeah. I'm glad that worked.
I'm extremely jealous.
Yeah. Next year, you never know.
It sounds so cool.
Oh, Vacheron is one of my favorite brands. I like them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you go to their boutique, I don't know if you've been to their new boutique as well. It is quite big and expansive in Dubai Mall, and they're one of the very few boutiques actually in Dubai Mall where they've got a watchmaker from France, but he's studied in Geneva, etc. And he's there to inspect watches if you have an issue, to just test everything. And we had me and a couple of friends, we had a watchmaking class. So we just disassembled and assembled the watch. And I think it's actually open for everyone. You don't have to be a Vacheron customer. Just come in, ask them, and they will do that for you.
Very nice. I think they had this when I got my watch a few years ago as well. A watchmaker or watch technician.
Yeah, the new boutique opened recently, though, right? Like
but
a year
it
ago.
was still the old design or whatever, which is beautiful as well. But I think it's, of course, now more modern. And in the meantime, it was very nice for us people here in the UAE. They had their little temporary boutique in the Four Seasons Hotel, right?
Mandarin Oriental.
Oh, sorry.
Blooper.
Rewind.
Don't you have the button for that?
Yes, I was just talking about the Mosa showcase that they had there at a different hotel. Yes, absolutely. That's the Mandarin Oriental. But a very nice suite, which is branded the Vacheron Constantin suite.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's still
I've seen things in that boutique or mini boutique. I've seen watches, I've seen the 222 of Tried It On. Such an unbelievable watch. I've seen some.
How does it wear, if I might just budge in there?
It's just perfect, honestly. I think it even wears more compact than the overseas, because the overseas, they've got these lugs which just stay away from doesn't really hug your wrist. But the 22 is just so beautiful. I wish they released it in steel. I don't think they will do it, but
if they call you tomorrow and say we have a 222 for you in gold, yes or no?
I can afford it. If I can afford it, I will take it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Such a beautiful watch.
Sorry, it was.
All right.
I just interrupted you there.
Now, what did you see at Watches and Wonders? What stood out? What was the feeling like? What was the ambiance? Paint us a word picture.
So, it was my first time there. I just walk in, and you've got Watches and Wonders is split into two sides, really. So you've got the right side, as early as you enter, you've got all the Richemont brands, and the left side, you've got Tudor, Rolex, Patek Philippe. And as I said just before recording this, I was hoping for AP to be there as well, but I've just heard that they're not exhibiting since 2018. So I look to my right, and then I see the IWC engineer. Probably they had the biggest booth there. And leading up to the event, because I follow almost all management and IWC, they've got all these AI-generated promos for the watch. Like, you've got all these people living in the 80s wearing exciting watches, and it just looks very cool. And then, so I look to the right and I see a huge poster of the engineer. I just walk in. I think I was one of the first people actually to be at Watches and Wonders. I woke up at 6 a.m., something like that, just to be there first. Good. And then I walk inside, and everyone is dressed up like they're from the 80s, big glasses, like, scientific white robes. They've got this really kind of Back to the Future Mercedes car there, which looks stunning. And then I walk inside and I see Chris Granger, who's CEO of IWC. I've never met him before. I've met other people from management, like Mark, he's CFO of IWC. I've had dinner with him here before. But Chris, literally, I just walked up to him and I just told him, congratulations on the launch. The watch looks stunning. It was the first thing that came to mind. And what he's done is he literally just took off the watch off his wrist and he gave it to me to try on. And, you keep thinking about other brands. No one does that. Everyone is a little bit of an elitist in this kind of industry, kind of. But he's just very approachable. And I was so surprised by how light the watch was on the wrist. It was very light. It was very compact. It's 10 millimeters and 10.8 millimeters. And it just the bracelet is so well made. You would think it's from I don't know. I wouldn't say AP because AP they've got lots of different finishes on their royal oak, but it's really, really actually the bracelet looks a lot like the Nautilus if you look at it, because Genta designed both in the same year, and actually the original design of Genta had the exact same bracelet.
Yeah, they stayed very true to the original designs, right? I mean, that's really nice, and I think we all agree that this watch is a hit, right? And it's a beautifully designed watch.
Not so sure about the price. The price.
We're going to talk about that later on.
We have different opinions about that one, but I think we can all agree that this is a really, really nice watch.
It's stunning. When I first saw it again, I said it's about time, right?
I was waiting so much for the Ingenieur because I thought this has so much potential at what it is, integrated bracelet watch. And I thought, I can't believe they're not doing anything. But I mean, in the interviews, he said that it took them 6 years basically to come up with this watch because of all of the back and forth and changes, and especially with the bracelet and other things that was not right. Yeah, amazing. So there are two options for the clasp, right? Because there's a butterfly clasp because obviously it looks nicer.
Yes.
Because the bracelet then completely goes around. And there's now an option to have a clasp, a normal folding clasp with micro adjustment.
I didn't see that.
Yes, because it came apparently just 1 or 2 days after the initial feedback that IWC got. I think Watch Advisor has a video on that.
Okay.
Where Chris Granger is also featured and said, yep, we heard people complaining about the lack of micro adjust. We have done that on purpose because we think it's beautiful and you will find a comfortable fit with the butterfly clasp. But if you really want a folding clasp with a micro adjustment where you have, you press the IWC logo and then you can adjust the clasp a bit, it's available. So I thought that's amazing, a brand that is not only so approachable to some kind of criticism, but also so quick. I mean, literally in days saying like, okay, let's whip it out and saying, here it is, right? So no reason to have any bad press. We have you covered. It's lovely. I mean, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And actually one good thing about Chris as well is something that maybe I'm a little bit biased, but he's an architect originally. He's not a watchmaker.
And
I'm an architect as well.
You too, yeah.
So what I heard from, I think he was here in the Dubai Mall Boutique one time, and because I'm friends with the guys at the Dubai Mall Boutique, and he would just go around and check everything himself. So for example, he was telling them, the lighting here is not good enough, so that you cannot take good pictures of the watches. And he would actually address these interior design issues, and he was telling them, I want the boutique at Dubai Mall to be something that would attract people to come and hang around and actually spend time. It's not just a selling point, but it's just for people to come and have coffee, have conversations about watches, which is something he gets really involved in these kind of details. So,
and I believe it's the largest IWC boutique in the world, right?
I'm not sure, but I know there's a flagship boutique here in the region for sure.
Yeah. I when they built it, I thought it was they mentioned it was the largest one because Rolex also has the largest boutique here in Dubai Mall. So I think
we love larger things here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Texas but in the Middle East.
No, that's great. I think I have taken people there. I mean, visitors and family, just not only to look at the boutique itself, but also it's just a nice place to be with a life size, the old generation Formula One car being exhibited there, which you can just walk up to and then just look at. It's a lovely thing. And I'm always checking one specific watch. It's the Mark 18.
Yes.
It's one of the entry-level watches, but I think that's one of the most beautiful watches that's recently been updated, right? The Mark 20.
Yes.
It's a lovely watch. I still think about it.
I love their pilot watches. I've got a few down the years, and the one that I've got now is the double chronograph, the Ceratanium one.
Oh,
it's I got it a few years ago, 3 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago. This is to me is my favorite modern iteration of the watches that they have, but I'm also very impressed by the 43 watches that they've just released.
Yes,
I think last year.
The big pilot.
They don't have date.
The new small thing.
Exactly.
They don't have date. Yeah, you've got a full dial with all the numerals there. They're very retro looking, and I think they're green. I think IWC makes the best green dials. They're so luscious.
Which we just saw today.
That's a different one, I think.
No, that is the 43 green.
43
Absolutely,
green.
yes.
Because I've seen the annual perpetual calendar green, and that's a bit more darker, more rich.
This was the 43 big pilot.
Yeah, this is a bit more like a forest green. right? A bit
The one we
more.
saw today?
Yeah,
it's
Think a
about
bit brighter.
medium green. Rolex green. We'll call it Rolex green.
Not controversial at all.
No, it does. Now that you mention it, it reminds me of the OP green. The special edition OPs are the discontinued OPs in the different colors, the Oyster Perpetuals, right?
Yeah,
it's a very similar green.
I think they still have the green.
I'm colorblind, so don't listen to me.
Your eyes are green, by the way.
I think
I just want to
yes,
tell you that.
Yes, thank you. My eyes are green, but yes, they still didn't. They didn't discontinue the green, right? They kept
The OP,
the green.
yeah.
They still kept
41, I think, still there, but
Correct.
you cannot put your name on it anyway.
it. No, nobody's gonna.
So what else? What else did you experience at Watches and Wonders?
Yeah, so I felt
how is
like
it how is it as a just a normal person from the public, not a business to business person, not an industry insider, a customer, collector, enthusiast. How is your experience there?
So at times I felt a bit lost, to be honest, because you feel like a kid at a candy store and you just want to see everything, you want to try everything. And then you go around and you meet people who you've only saw before on YouTube, like YouTube celebrities like Nico Leonard, like Teddy Baldassar, like Adrian from Bark and Jack, etc. And they're just all there and they're happy to have a conversation. And, I don't know if you watch about F in Time as well.
Yes.
So I was passing by Andrew, was telling him nice podcast, nice YouTube, nice YouTube channel. And then he said, you know what? Everyone who would tell me that, I will give him a badge. And he actually gave me one badge and took a video of me of my watch at the time, the American. So I don't know if I'm going to make it to their YouTube video.
Which watch badge is that? The smiley badge? That he was giving out,
about
or?
F in Time. So it's just
Right.
like a yellow smiley
Yes,
badge with
exactly,
a red.
yeah.
It was really cool.
So now I understand why people were wearing these.
So
I saw that on YouTube. They're like, why are these people in these smiley badges? What's going on?
yeah, exactly. But honestly, they're all so nice. I mean, especially Teddy, for example. I've seen that he's so knowledgeable and so polite. And I did tell him that when I met him. I was like, you're so knowledgeable. I love how you review also like watches that don't have to be very expensive, affordable watches, but they're still stunning. And I always discover new watches with him as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, he spends 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's a Tissot that costs $200 or if it's a Vacheron Constantin. He will do the same 15-minute video with the cheap watch, with the expensive watch, and it's nice to see some kind of some people doing this kind of standard. Because most of the people, if you have some Tissot or even Swatch or something, you do a 2-minute video and that's it, right? So he really does in-depth videos about all these things, and he does have a good breadth in his reviews.
And these watches deserve, I think, that attention as well to a certain extent.
It does,
Because
yes,
it's
of
really
course.
everybody starts some way, which leads me to the question: where did you start? When did you
and where did you?
Are we talking mechanical watches or just watches?
No, I mean, just watches. Where did you start with watches in general, liking watches, or feeling like, I really
I think,
like to...
I think since high school, I always liked watches, but I have got these obscure brands like, I'm not going to say Casio, everyone knows Casio, but I had a Q&Q. I don't know if anyone heard of this brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so it's just
heard about
digital quartz watch. It looked really cool at the time. Then once I started working, my first watch was Tissot as well, which still quartz. First one. But then I got another Tissot T-Touch, and I remember the feeling in my gut at the time where I was just saying, it's such an expensive watch. I cannot afford this. It's such... But I really liked how cool it is, and you can tell the north where you can... And it's also like... it's powered by the sun and all these different stuff. I was really, really in love with it. And then later on, I remember a friend of mine took me to... This is why, by the way, I'm in love with IWC, and that was my first gateway drug, not Rolex. A friend of mine took me to IWC in maybe 2013, and he wanted to get a big pilot for his father. And then when I heard the price at the beginning, I think it was 20-something thousand at the time. I was just thinking, how on earth a watch can cost that much? Well, what is going on here?
I think everybody had that.
Exactly. So I just went back home, started doing my research, and then started understanding, okay, so actually there are mechanical watches. There is something going on. There is artistry. There is science that goes into this. And then I started just stalking IWC for the longest time up until, I think 2017 where I got my first IWC. And then from there I started just collecting nonstop. I think it's accelerating, but now I think I'm on the down curve as well. I'm becoming more selective about which pieces I want. I would rather wait than just jump on the bandwagon.
But you say you have 8, right? So you're buying and selling?
I sold a few down the line. I think maybe in total I bought about 15 watches. In the beginning, I think it's easier to let go of some of the more basic watches.
Yeah.
But then as you start, ramping up your collection as well, it becomes more and more difficult to let go of any piece. You just want to hold on to them. So yeah,
of course.
No, absolutely. I agree with you there. I'm terrible at selling watches. I do now, but I had to force myself to do that really, because every watch I bought for a reason, right? Because I like something about it. But I think then maybe Martin,
I have the opposite. I struggle to keep watches. So that's my issue. Is it takes a lot for me to keep a watch.
Keep this one.
Yes, of course. The GLC is absolutely a keeper. But for me, the issue is if I don't 100% love a watch, if there's one thing I don't like about it, it could be I don't like the crown. If it's something so minuscule, I will say, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't like it. And I'm not a very, how do I say it? I'm not a very easy person in that terms, right? If I don't like something, I'm going to let you know and I'm going to get rid of it.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah. So I think that's already a lovely constraint that you had with only 15 watches so far.
Yeah, I think the fact that you had 15 and now you're down to 8, that's a 50% roughly reduction. I'm probably, I'm at 8 as well. But I probably had 100,
yes, exactly.
Which means 92 have been sold.
Yeah, I mean, usually for
a loss,
for a lot of us, it escalates quickly, right? And you end up and suddenly think like, what the hell am I doing? Where am I going to store my watches or my boxes?
The boxes.
Yes.
I got the IKEA bed, with the drawers underneath, and it's just watch storage, watch box storage. I should mention.
Yeah. So that's a lot of constraint and discipline that you have there.
Well, I try my best, but the problem is as well that, sometimes once you start buying the more expensive watches, you're both constraining yourself mentally, but also your wallet that kind of constrains you as well. but I think, honestly, I think people should be more selective as well of what they want to have. It's like what Martin was just saying. Just buy what you want. Don't just go after a fad or something that you just think that everyone else would like.
Totally agree with that. Challenge there again is sometimes that you are on waiting list sometimes and you don't know when the call will come. So you have certain that like opportunities that open up when they are not necessarily planned, because you can't really plan for these things when they will be available to you, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, let me just say that I received a call from AP recently that I had to pass on because I had literally picked 2-3 watches in the last 6 months that I just.
And which call was this for?
An offshore 42 the Beast, the one with the full metal brace. I just love it, but I was waiting for it for about a year, I think. But I was just telling them that I have to let go of this one, but just don't remove my name from the list. Maybe later on I'll just pick it up. But, yeah,
I passed on an EP as well. It was a Royal Oak offshore diver though, but not so hard to get. So I'm not so sad.
Meanwhile, I got my AP 15400 and I sold it. Didn't like it.
Why am I not surprised? What was it? What did it? Was it?
The movement was too small.
You don't see the movement when you wear it. No?
Doesn't matter. I still know it's there. It's not about what others see. It's how I feel, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that miniature movement, this was the 41 millimeter size. This is one of the situations where I would have preferred a 39 or even a 37. It was too big. And the movement's tiny. Yeah. So I let it go. And of course, it became shortly thereafter, probably that year, it skyrocketed in value. I let it go for 50,000 dirhams.
Oh, yeah.
And then it went up to like 200.
No comment.
Okay,
no comment.
It can happen.
I bought it for 48. I made 2,000 dirhams.
Well,
it sounded like a good deal at the time.
If you look at it in percentage terms, you have made a good investment, right? I mean, you have, Don't fret it.
It's a good amount in 1954. So
yeah, exactly. Go backwards in time.
So coming back to watches and wonders. So
yes.
Would you recommend to just as a normal watch enthusiast or collector, just to pop in, buzz by, if you don't have any appointments, just be there and just hang around? Do you think it's a
Definitely. And if you can get a pass as well during the press week, because this is what I've got. I think the last 2 days or 3 days this time it was open for public, and I've seen some pictures. It was so busy.
Right.
But the first couple of days, everyone has time for you. So you're able to speak to watchmakers as well. You're able to see CEOs. You're able to see, all the new releases firsthand. So definitely go for it. Some brands didn't really let you try their watches. I would give Rolex as an example. They've had all the watches on display, but you cannot really try anything. Patek Philippe, they've had the watches, but you needed to have an appointment first. Honestly, I liked a few of their releases this year. Their dual time with the blue dial.
That's a beautiful watch.
With a 24-hour bezel.
It's also my only problem with it, because I don't know if I can get used to a 24-hour watch. Because
you can buy yourself a glycine Airman for about 1,000 dirhams and get used to it.
Yeah, I can train for the Patek.
Exactly, you train for it.
I can mentally prepare myself for the Patek, but I think it's beautiful. It's
so beautiful.
Watch,
I put my name on it. I don't know how long it's going to take or if I'm going to be ready when they call me, but I just said, you know what, put your name on it. It's not going to lose anything.
Aren't they supposed to soon launch a new line?
Yes.
Patek Philippe, a completely new line. For decades, they haven't launched a new line of watches then, and they're saying we are doing
they say
very
this, but
soon.
When you see the stuff that they've been calling Calatravas, they have new lines, right? You look at these, the
racing
the
styles.
month. What is the month indicator? The week indicator. It doesn't look like a Calatrava. What you're wearing is a Calatrava.
Yes.
They're making essentially sports watches and calling them Calatravas, which means they're shoehorning them into a category that doesn't really work.
You've seen those three new colors, the blue, red, and yellow Calatravas they just released with the carbon fiber strap and carbon fiber dial.
No, I haven't. I don't think so.
Check them out. They don't look like Patek Philippe watches much. I don't know how that's gonna age, how people are gonna look at it. I don't know, 50 years from now, 40 years from now. But I think slowly but surely, Patek is just kind of departing from some of their design language that they always have. Maybe they're trying to attract younger demographics.
Yeah.
I read an article by Stern, I think. They were interviewing him recently, and he was saying, we've got some clients who are only willing to pay $30,000, $40,000 per watch. And he said that's still a big amount of money to spend on a watch.
Yes.
I've read that as well.
Yes.
Yes, I have seen this watch. Yes, I didn't realize it has like a carbon fiber motif on the dial.
And it's a Calatrava.
It's not carbon fiber. It's the pattern.
The pattern of carbon fiber. It's not actual
like
carbon fiber. The strap itself looks like a piece of tire, basically, right? The tire tread.
It's actually leather, but it's also stamped.
It reminds me of a Chopard Mille Miglia.
Yes.
To
The same strap too.
And the LUC XPS, for example.
Yes. It's very Chopard-esque. But
which is also an excellent watch with a beautiful movement.
So
very underappreciated. I'm a big Chopard fan.
Yes.
Now I have one
not
last.
The Mille Miglia, that's not my cup of
No,
tea. But
definitely not.
The LUC line or even the Alpine Eagle, I like it.
All right. Now, is it time to wrap up, I think?
It's time to wrap up. So
I want to ask you one question before we go.
We have to talk
Have you been
about
to Dubai Watch Week?
Yes.
And what is the difference?
How does it compare?
How does it compare to the big boy?
Well, first of all, Dubai Watch Week was much smaller. I think this is the obvious answer. You've got brands that are just, everyone's got a small stall or something where they just show. Some of the CEOs were there. I think I met Moser's CEO and Chapek, who's a super nice guy. But also not all brands are exhibiting there because the watch show is sponsored by Siddiqui. So Siddiqui, I think, you wouldn't find any of the Richemont brands, for example, or maybe some of the independents. They've got some relationship with independents, but I don't think everyone is represented in the show. Over there, obviously, it's kind of Dubai Watch Week on steroids. So you've got, YouTubers, you've got people, watchmakers, you've got collectors who've, got 200, 300 watches. I think people just go there also to meet other collectors. It's not just about the watches, it's about the whole vibe. The whole city just turns into something else. Everyone's talking about you. You go into the taxi and everyone is just like, are you here for the watch exhibit? Everyone just has that kind of, they're talking about watches for 1 week, which is something that, in Dubai is it can be the same, but at the same time, it's that event here in Dubai is not center stage of Dubai, because Dubai, there is always something happening.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah, well, there it's the entire city is basically
Yeah.
watches and wonders. Absolutely.
So did you see any kinds of talks or anything like this at Watches and Wonders, like at Dubai Watch Week? Do you have the option of seeing any of this?
Yes.
Do they put things on?
So, for example, they have an auditorium there where I think each brand can just book it for their releases. After I've met with Chris Granger from IWC, he just went an hour or 2 hours later just to talk about the engineer, and everyone was allowed to enter there. And I was sitting, I think, as he was walking out, I was introduced to some of the watchmakers who were there with Genta at the time when they released the original engineer as well. Wow. And he was telling me, do you know what the SL stands for on the engineer? And I said, I have no idea.
Mercedes?
Well, I think the answer was kind of disappointing at the time, because he was just saying, actually, it doesn't stand for anything. We just like how it sounds.
Super light, always super leger.
Yeah. Schnell und leicht.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
a Mercedes
Exactly,
SL.
that's a Mercedes SL. All right.
Yeah. But one more question. I think then we have to wrap it up because we've talked for 45 minutes already. Did you go also to, because I heard there's a lot of events going on outside of Watches and Wonders. So there's brands who book hotel suites or hotel ballrooms and show their things around the fair, not at the PAL Expo, but
so
places.
I wasn't invited, unfortunately, because I came, as I said, strictly with Vacheron, and I spent one full day with them at their manufacturer. But I could see as I was walking down the street, for example, I think Breitling was just setting up a new store or something.
Okay.
And you can see there was lots of TV cameras just covering the event, and that was in the middle of the street. And as I said, also Bucherer, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it's Bucherer or
Bucherer, yeah.
So I was very curious about just passing by and seeing their certified pre-owned collection. They've had about, I think, 20, 30 watches in there. Most of them, obviously, they have to be more than 3 years old. But as I was just looking to the left side, I just saw Moser's CEO there with a bunch of collectors, and they were just talking about, new releases. I was also, when I was invited to having dinner with Vacheron Constantin one night, and the table behind us had FP Journe. He was sitting on the table with a bunch of his watches collectors. So it's kind of, these events are always happening all over the city, which is kind of great.
Yeah, I think Bucherer and Moser had this joint event in the Bucherer.
So I heard Tudor also had a pop-up shop.
Yeah,
all the brand new releases,
you
everything.
could buy everything,
you can
right
buy everything.
There. Yeah,
Just super cool.
Amazing stuff.
I was with a guy, I don't know if you know him, Watch Society. He has
Rida.
a local, Rida.
Yeah.
So he bought the Black Bay 58.
54,
sorry, with the red bezel. He bought it.
That's a Burgundy. Black Bay
That's a proper Black Bay then. Yep.
Yeah.
The big size.
I think he just released this video then about that he sacrificed himself for the millions of viewers.
Of course.
It's a tough sacrifice to buy a watch.
Yes.
Well, he's going to release
also the founder, if we're going to speak about this, the founder of the Armory, which is a menswear company in New York.
Yes.
And I believe the New York and Hong Kong. They have 2 stores. And the owner of that also picked up a Black Bay 54 and did a video on that. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your Watch and Wonders impressions with us and part of your collection. We will still have to talk about the rest of that, but
Yes.
we'll do that in another time.
Definitely.
Do you want to share your Instagram handle so people can follow you?
Sure. So it's THE _ and then GABAL. It's my last name, the Gabal.
Okay.
All right.
So if you want to see some watches and watch content, feel free to follow Mahmoud.
Yeah, follow Mahmoud. Follow us.
Yes.
Subscribe to our podcast.
Yes, please.
Tell us what you think. Our Instagram handle is.
What is our Instagram? The Lume Plotters. That's right. That's a tough one. Yes, the Lume Plotters. Is it Lume Plotters or the Lume Plotters? I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure we're the only ones with that name. Yeah. I think it's just Lume Plotters. So please feel free to message us. I think we're at a solid number of followers. Maybe around 9.
There's
But easy does it, slow.
Only one way for us, and that's up.
Exactly. So feel free, follow our Instagram and message us, and we will respond to messages.
All
So
right.
thanks
Thank
for
you
having
very
us.
much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.